And I hope you're well.
By God's grace, yes.
First, let's start with your own view of that decision. The party says we want to elect a flag bearer first before we look at the structures of the party. Is that a good way to go?
Once again, let me say thanks for the opportunity. Good morning to your listeners. Actually, that's an interesting decision that they have taken. You get an impression that ordinarily, given the fact that the flag bearership race has started informally, somehow with the tacit agreement of the people who are acting as leaders, they realize that society has become conscious of that, spoken to the issue, and so it's like they want to get done with that aspect of the party's program, and possibly, maybe given what they know, possibly play, in favor of one of the potential contestants. Because there's an issue in there. You can't conduct elections without electoral rules, electoral principles that should underline the elections. Voter registration, who qualifies to take part in the vote, criteria that will enable people to also qualify to register to participate in the whole exercise. Are they going to use the existing constitutional provisions? The constitution that has brought the party into a terrible disrepute. In terms of leadership, it looks like there's an issue in there. In whose hands does authority in the party reside? Is it the party's national chair? Is it the flag bearer? When they have a certain president, is it that person? A lawyer, an NPP lawyer, Nana Yawase, spoke to this issue, and he said categorically clear that in the NPP, their constitution confers that authority on the national chairman. So if you look at what has happened in the party in the past few years, then you realize that constitutionalism hasn't prevailed in the NPP. It has been power play, and we know what has been the outcome. So if they were to go into elections to get a flag bearer, you want the party to be interested in all these things and to fix them, to fix the constitution, what I'll call a broken constitution. That's not what they are doing. They are going to elect a flag bearer. On what basis? So what are the institutional framework within which that particular elections is to be conducted? And if such a framework should work, then ordinarily from political scientific point of view, the leaders in the party will have to give that particular document their voluntary consent. That document should be legitimate. Are they proceeding with the old one? I'm asking the same question again. When is a new one coming up? How are they going to go by this whole arrangement? We don't know. But there's one thing. We are in June this year. January next year, give them roughly 6 months, and I think they have enough time to be able to handle these issues if indeed they want to do something objectively and get a leader that the rank and file want to work with.
In fact, they say they will go for a national delegates conference in July, so next month, and we are we are very close to July now. But it seems from all indications, Doc, that they will be going with the old album because they haven't suggested any plans to organize elections at the grassroots level, to the constituency, to the district, to constituency, then to the regional, and then to national before going to do the presidential primary. So clearly, it looks like they will go with the old album. If they do that, what are the implications?
The implication is that it's a party that has learned no lessons. The old album made it possible for people to purchase positions, electoral outcomes, vote buying. Here in Ashanti region, we're told some people spend as much as 10,000 cedis on a delegate to get elected. And they know of the outcome of that on the party's performance in government. Everybody went in for money. They purchased the right to represent people in the party and eventually whole constituencies in the country. They go into political office. The obvious, response or outcome is that you need to pay, if you like, your creditors. If you use your own money, you want to take the money back. So politics from this context has become a business. So that is what the old constitution has produced. If they decide to use that same old constitution, then the rationality is that, they are the same stock, no lessons learned, and they don't care a fig about the people of Ghana. They are only interested in positions, and that means that, politics in Ghana is business. It's been reduced to business. So we're watching, because it is a party, the main opposition party now, and Ghana should be interested in how it functions. The institutional framework, the constitutional framework within which they do everything that they do. Ghana should be interested, and so we're watching.
But you also stated that, in fact, maybe the executives also observed what you observed, that the flag bearership race has already started informally. So why not get rid of it, finish it, and that's their hands off, at least, so that does not become a stumbling block in the way of a reorganization exercise?
If they can do that in a way that will be acceptable to, especially the leaders in their party, because when they take a position, their followers move with them. So I'm looking at the institutional framework within which this flag bearership contest is going to be conducted. I'm looking at that.
To you, what would have been, for a party that suffered the kind of defeat they suffered, what would have been the best framework for you?
No, it is a constitutional crisis. Basically, our life, individuals, organizations, are all guided by institutions, constitutions. So what happened to the NPP, first and foremost, comes from the party's constitution. In fact, it has not served them well. So you would have wanted to see them review the party's constitution and then ensure that some of the happenings in the previous years do not recur. Generally, in democracies, when an office is subjected to the electoral principle and you go into a general elections and get elected, you don't easily get removed from office the way they did to Paul Afoko and Colonel Japan. A leader who comes up, a flag bearer who comes up, cannot say that he or she cannot work with person A or person B. The whole party has put those officers there. So their constitution should provide some guarantees for such cases, to forestall future, sort of occurrences. Because I think it did divide the party. And also this issue of vote buying, they will want to find ways to make it very, very difficult for people to be, in positions simply because they are rich. When you do that, you've reduced democracy to some sort of business deals. And obviously the outcomes always don't, appear good. They don't serve societal interests. So they have a lot of things to do constitutionally, because of what they went through, what they experienced, and eventually the outcome of the general elections, the whole of Ghana rejecting them in a way that was and is still humiliating. You want to, review your constitution, go through proper institutional arrangement, put officers in place in a way that has the voluntary support of the rank and file. And it is at that level that the party's actions and inactions will be seen, if you like, and accepted by their own people first, and then the rest of society. And then somehow they will be making themselves attractive. But the way things are now, if they go ahead with the same old constitution and allow people to purchase those positions, civil society is very loud in Ghana now. And so this time around, I expect people to come around openly and educate the public about how they went into their elections and the people they are put out there. Individuals who in government were ready to buy state property or coming around to become new leaders again and presenting themselves as potential leaders of society. I think this time around, people will not wait for them to go into elections and lose. They will have to be introduced to society the way they are. I think the party will have to take these things seriously.
I see. No, I know I have to let you go for your lectures, but before you go, you kept talking about a business deal, and I'm wondering where the business deal in this matter is.
The one to reduce electoral processes and procedures to those established by economic principles, buying and selling. And we realize that we are looking at something different other than, taking us through democratic elections. It shouldn't be possible for people to be turned out as leaders, one, at the level of the party, constituencies, or at the national level, simply because they have money. It shouldn't be. That one will not really be building the Ghanaian state. I'm beginning to maybe get some understanding as to the reason why the Fourth Republic has not successfully addressed the economic challenges that Ghana faces. And realize that, generally speaking, politicians are very well off. Whereas the rank and file, the rest of society is not doing well at all. I know 1,000,001 students who graduated 5-6 years ago and are still not jobbing. Some people have been forced to engage in work, jobs that give them less than 1,000 cedis a month. Terrible things are happening, and Ghana had better take note of this and address these issues before things become too late. It looks like people are getting tired of democratic governance. And so all of us have to, wake up. These things happening in the NPP, in the previous years where it was possible to buy votes, shouldn't happen again. It shouldn't.
Doc, thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Most welcome.
Dr. AMAKYE Boateng is a political science lecturer. SM.
Na yeah, company for when you are very person to Franca de ma NPP amanyuko no.